August has begun with wind and cool weather. It's not very warm today. As you can see, I'm wearing this indoors. It's 16 degrees in here. I had intended to make this video outside, but it's very windy, as it has been the last few days and is forecast to be the next couple of days. So I'm going to talk about dealing with sunshine and the heat and midges on a cool day when I prefer to be inside. But we do have more hot weather forecast. In fact, for central and southern England, there is now a heat warning for next week coming in over the coming weekend, with temperatures apparently going to be over 30 degrees. Up here in the Scottish Highlands, temperatures are going to be in the lower 20s, which is quite hot enough for me. But it does look like we're going to have a lot more sunshine and a lot more suitable weather for the midges and biting insects, which are out in force at the moment, despite the windy weather. As I've learned, if you go into the woods and stop anywhere that is damp and sheltered, the midges will find you very quickly. So the first two things for hill walking and low level walking over the summer that I always have are sunscreen, a small tube. There's no need to carry a big bottle of the stuff. You can buy big bottles and decant it into smaller ones, or just buy a small tube like this, which is SPF 50 and is supposed to last, one application is meant to last all day and not wash off. If it's really hot and sunny, I tend to put a second one on later in the day just in case. And the other thing is some insect repellent, which can be effective stopping the insects actually biting you on the areas it's applied, though any bare skin that this has missed, and the chances are the midges will find it. So it is crucial to cover up areas, to make sure that the repellent covers everywhere where you might be bitten, and also it doesn't stop the midges swarming round in search of somewhere where they can bite you. So from that purpose, the common thing people use is a midge net. I hate midge nets. They cling to your face, they restrict vision, everything looks blurred, and I'm out there to see what's there, not to look through, a net curtain effectively. However, I'll take my glasses off while I do this. Last year, these were produced, midge specs, and these are brilliant. I'll just put them on so you can see what happens, because when you get them on, they have some clear, really big industrial grade goggles, so you can see just as well as without them. And I think these are brilliant. You don't feel like you've got a midge net, especially you can wear it over a hat rather than just over your head. It's got a draw cord, it's elasticated here. This is very efficient. I'm quite happy to wear this when there's midges around. I've worn it a couple of times this summer when pitching the tent, because when you bend down to put in tent pegs, midges tend to immediately swarm up around your face. So it's great for that. The other thing with tents where you can't keep moving to avoid the midges is to use mosquito coils. One or two of these in the porch can keep it clear of midges. So again, for camping trips, I always carry these. I don't carry them on day walks. I'm not going to stop anywhere long enough where it's worth lighting a midge coil. And anyway, in the open air, you've got to be effectively surrounded by them for it to have much effect. Whereas in the partly enclosed space of a tent porch, they can work quite well. Going back to the sun now is protection for the eyes, sunglasses, which can also make it easy to see when it's really bright and the sun is glaring. And this year I've been trying two pairs that I was sent to test. I like both of them. The one I've worn most are these, which are nice, basic looking, classic design sunglasses, fairly big lenses, which I always prefer. I put a neck cord on so that, you know, I can drop them around my neck if I want to take them off for taking photographs or because clouds just covered the sun. They're not too dark. They're not designed for high altitude or snow and ice, but for most of the time they're fine. And these are Vallon Day Tripper glasses, and I've got the information, yes, over here. And they weigh 33 grams, so they're very light, and as you can see they fold up pretty small. So they've been quite effective. They came in early on in the spring, so I've worn those quite a lot. Much more recently I got a curious pair of dark glasses which I really like, but I've only used a couple of times, because these are armless ones from a company called Ombraz, and instead of rigid arms they have the neck cord built in, goes all the way around, so there's nothing here to break off, to get in the way, to have to be folded in, just a cord. And the thing is, you put them on, cord over the top of the ears, tighten it up, and they really don't move. There's none of the slip down you can get with arms when they start to work loose. It's easy to adjust. The lenses are really big. This is the new Refugio model, and I think they're really excellent. It's easy enough to push them up, and they're not going to fall off. You can move your head, you know, they're not loose. And if you want to, you can loosen them slightly and then just drop them round your neck. And I think it's a brilliant idea not to bother with the arms. So I'm quite impressed with these, and if we do get this hot sunny weather, I'll be trying them a bit more. So this is the basic sun and insect protection. The items I always carry from spring probably through to sometime in October. The insect repellent will go. The sunscreen actually comes out all year round because it can be brilliantly hot and sunny in the winter at times. The glasses most of the year, but I will change if there's masses of snow to stronger glasses more designed for snow, and I'll probably talk about those later in the year when it looks like they might be needed. But as well as these, there is, you know, other protection that covers you, so you don't necessarily need glasses or need sunscreen, and that is hats. Now the basic hats become very popular because they're simple, they're usually quite inexpensive, is, you know, a baseball cap like this one from Mountaineering Scotland, which weighs 70 grams. It's adjustable, it's quite small packed up, and the rigid brim keeps the sun off your face, and it's also quite good if the weather changes. Under a waterproof jacket hood, it gives protection against the rain. Slightly more sophisticated than that one is this one from 10 Trees, which is called the Juniper Altitude Hat, because most of the top is mesh, which makes it a bit more breathable, a bit less sweaty in really hot weather. but the principle's the same. It's got the big brim. It works well under a jacket hood. The trouble with designs like this, there's no neck cord. They can do that in the wind, so they're not ideal if it's very, very windy, unless you have them on so tight it's painful. But as a basic type hat, you know, these are very good. This one is a bit heavier than the Mountaineer in Scotland one, weighs 90 grams. But then we come to something that gives a bit more protection, and my favourite hat, I think sun hat anyway, of all time, which is the Tilley hat. And this is the Tilley hiker hat. I know there's a whole range of Tilley hats now, but this is fairly similar to the original when there was only one. And I started wearing these hats in 1990, so a long time ago, when I found one in the town of Whitehorse when I was doing a long walk right the way through the Yukon territory in Canada. And the little floppy, you know, bucket hat I'd taken with me wasn't really adequate in the sun and blew off if it was windy. And I found this in the store in Whitehorse and thought, that looks superb, I'll get one. And I was saying I've been using Tilley hats ever since. And the thing is, it's got two draw cords. So with the draw cords, it can't blow off that way, though it can impede your vision, and it can't blow off that way, so you're not going to lose it in the wind. It can flap a bit, so the brim is quite stiff. It's not ideal in a very strong wind, but overall, this is my favourite hat. And the other thing with it is, all the other hats are nylon or polyester. They're synthetic. This is cotton. Being cotton also means you can fill it with water, dip it in a pool or a stream, put it on, and the evaporative cooling works for a long time because the cotton absorbs moisture. It does not dry quickly, whereas you can do that with some of the other hats, but the effect only lasts for a minute or two because they don't really absorb moisture, and as soon as the sun's on them, they're dry. 5 minutes later, there's no effect whatsoever. So that is an advantage of a cotton hat and of the Tilley hat. Now, similar to the Tilley hat, but all synthetic, is one I've been trying. I was sent this earlier in the year, and this is the Sunday Afternoon Ultra Adventure hat. And this combines a wide brim on the front half with a neck covering flap at the back, and it does have a draw cord to keep it on in the wind. The brim is even bigger than the Tilley and gives lots of protection, and the flap of course will keep the back of your neck protected from the sun. Now, I quite like this hat, but as long as it's not windy. It does catch the wind more than the Tilley does, and the brim can easily do that and go up and down and up and down, and the neck flap has no way of fastening it, so that can flap about as well. So if it's very windy, it's not very effective, but otherwise it is quite good. An advantage it has over the Tilley is because it doesn't protrude at the back, it can't catch on your pack. With some packs that come up quite high and close to their head, the back of the Tilley hat can, you know, catch on the pack. It's not been a big problem, but it does happen. It can't happen with this because this is flat to your head. The disadvantage over the Tilley is, as I mentioned, with all the other hats, it's synthetic, so it's not much use to soak it for cooling down. But overall, I quite like this, and it does fold up pretty small, smaller than the Tilley, and this one, and it weighs 85 grams. The Tilley weighs 115 grams because it's cotton, which is a heavier material. So yes, I've liked using this, but if I was going on a long walk, I'd want the tilly or one of the baseball caps, probably the tilly, for use when it was windy, when the tilly, although not ideal, stays on better. Now, I was also sent this year a couple of hats from Colombia to try. Now this one is a baseball cap with a flap. So it's just got the baseball cap front, a much bigger flap than on the St. Sunday hat. And this one has one big advantage, which is that the flap has a stud, which, if I can manage to fasten it, there it is, means this is not going anywhere in the wind. It won't blow off because it's fastened here. So if you want something with, you know, it gives full protection to your neck, your ears, the sides of your face, and has got a brim, this is great. I only find one problem with it. It's quite warm. When it's done up like this, if it's really a really hot day, even though this is quite, you know, breathable, it's you know, nowhere near wind resistant, let alone windproof, but it's still warm, and all this enclosing the face I find too hot. Now it may be that people without beards may not find it quite as hot as I do, but it does work, and it works in the wind. So if you want that full protection, this will provide it. And they also sent me a Tilly style hat, though it's much, as you can see, floppier material. But this, and it's got a neck cord, but it's also got insect netting built in, which you can fold away, or when you've got the hat on, if you decide you want insect protection, you can pull this down and it, you know, comes over the face and adjust it, and then you've got insect protection. But it has the disadvantage, as I said, with the, you know, of insect netting, not this one specifically, but any insect netting, which is you can't see properly through it. Everything is now blurred, and I really don't like that. But if you want a combined hat and insect netting that you can pull over very quickly, this provides it. Then we come to, you know, body wear in hot weather. For legs, I prefer shorts. I'm prepared to soak my legs in sunscreen and insect repellent and wear shorts. But there are plenty of lightweight hiking trousers that are pretty comfortable in the heat. I'm not going to go into those at the moment, but I will go into shirts, because I've been wearing hiking shirts, trekking shirts, whatever you want to call them, for warm weather walking, and warm weather, not hot weather, but warm weather, spring through to October, for, oh, well over a quarter of a century. They never seem to have really caught on, and I don't understand why, because I think they're, you know, they're ideal in warm and especially hot weather. And I like long sleeved ones because you can roll the sleeves up if you want to. If you think your arms have had enough sun and need a bit of covering, you can roll them down. If it gets cool, you can roll them down. If you're fed up of the horseflies landing on your arms, you can roll them down. So they have that advantage, you know, over a t-shirt. You can undo the front, you know, buttons or studs for ventilation. You can turn the collar up if you don't have a hat with a large back brim, or a, you know, some sort of scarf that comes down over your neck. The collar will give extra protection. I prefer loose fitting ones for ventilation. They don't wick as well as a technical synthetic or merino wool base layer, but I find them more comfortable, they dry quickly, and I can see, yes, if you're going trail running or doing fell races, you probably don't want a trekking shirt, but I think for hill walking and backpacking, they're excellent. And I say, and I've been wearing one, I've worn one on every long walk I've done, I say, for over 25 years. And there are different features. I mean, this is a very old Roham one. They don't make this anymore, which I quite like. It's not ideal design. My favourite one, which I've worn on a number of long walks, is this one from Paramo, which is the Paramo Katmai. And this is, as these shirts go, this is quite light. It weighs 200 grams. Most of them are more up towards 300 grams. But the features I like about it are it's got massive pockets, which will easily hold a modern large smartphone or a notebook and a pen, without the object feeling like it's pressing against you. And the pockets close with Velcro, so they're easy to open and shut. You're not fiddling with buttons. And even more, I like the cuffs, which are closed. They're not a traditional shirt cuff like this one is, with a big gap there, which is an invitation to midges to come in and bite you and get inside the arms of your shirt. This one, it's just got a wide cuff which closes with Velcro, so more like a jacket cuff. And there's no slit here that exposes any of your arm. It's easy to roll the sleeves up because they're so wide. But as I say, I have found this shirt excellent. You can also get shirts. This is a Columbia one. Crackhoppers do a very similar one called Nosy Life that have insect repellent built in, which should stop insects biting you, but it doesn't stop the insects getting on parts of you the shirt doesn't cover. So I'm not too bothered about having a shirt like this with insect repellent built in. A good feature of this Columbia one is it has stud fastenings up the front, not buttons. The Paramo has buttons. I'd like to see this on the Paramo. It's a lot easier to open and close studs than it is little buttons with little buttonholes. But it's not a critical thing, but I do like that. Finally, I've been sent this year, for the first time, some of the specific sun protection and sometimes insect protection clothing by Columbia again. This is a jacket shirt. They call it a shirt. It's more like a jacket style. Has two big patch pockets. It has a zip front, designed to protect against the sun. It's not windproof at all, although it looks like a wind shirt. It's also got an insect net inside the hood, so you can quickly pull that out and over your face if you want. Now, I have tried this. The idea of it appeals to me, but I did find, again, it was a bit hot. Even though it's quite loose, compared with a shirt like this, I found it a bit warm. And I think in part, having the hood up, you don't get any ventilation round the neck. I'd rather have a hat. But it does work. It keeps the sun off, and if you quickly need insect protection, you can pull that over your face. So it is an option, not one I'll be using very often. Nor will I be using something that has become, I think, quite trendy, it seems, in hot areas for hiking, certainly in the USA, which is basically a sun base layer, a base layer shirt that's designed for sun protection, which mainly means that it has a hood and doesn't have any sort of front opening. Very stretchy material that wicks quite well, and again it provides the protection, but I find it too hot. What using these two garments has convinced me of is I don't like wearing a hood in the heat, and to work as intended these garments mean you really should use the hood, and I'd rather have some sort of opening at the front of these. But of course the advantage with both these is if you really don't want to have to apply much sunscreen, you don't need to. These do the job instead. Anyway, we will now see if I'm going to be trying some of this stuff out again over the next week or so.